Welcome everybody to another edition of TNM Unplug podcast. Today we have a very special guest and friend, and today we're going to talk about self-leadership in this Beyond Leadership series. So this is the space for you to elevate your heart, to elevate your minds, and to elevate your spirits to the next level of yourself, to get some inspiration and to really learn and benefit from this insightful conversation. So Bikundo Onyari, it's a coach, facilitator, teacher, mentor, has multiplicities of degrees, multiplicities of capabilities, and he is extremely passionate in his purpose of getting 1 million people to become a high impact individuals, to make a difference in their personal and professional life, and to produce immediate and unprecedented and lasting results. He is also what we call lifepreneur, and he is empowering people and organizations to become the best possible versions of themselves. In his work, Bikundo uses different modalities, anything from life and business coaching to NLP to goal mapping to art of hosting. He is what we call a multi-potentialist, somebody who works on so many different levels and is able to benefit people on so many different levels as well. He is also compassionate, he's life-affirming, he's insightful, and encourages. And he also is assisting people into the path of self-empowerment and enabling individuals to reconnect to their innate wisdom and to achieve the life of the personal impact. And today we're going to be talking to Bikundo about self-leadership. So welcome, Bikundo. I'm so happy and honored and glad to have you on this program today.
Thank you, Zoran. What an introduction.
I do this really well. You know, like when I introduce people to the podcast, usually the first thing people would say, like, oh my God, is this really me? You know, what an introduction. And I like doing that. You know, sometimes when you see yourself through the lens of a different person, then it becomes, you know, wow, you know, am I really doing all of this?
Yeah.
Yes. So let's dive into this topic, you know, of self-leadership. Tell me, you know, how did you get into that, you know, space, and why do you believe self-leadership, it's very important for all of us to explore?
Yeah, thank you so much, Zoran. And I'm really passionate about leadership. And my work started, I actually used to work when I finished my, what we call here O levels or high school. I'm waiting to join college. I got involved a lot in development work, and my work was really supporting communities, create impact. And I used to work a lot with so different kinds of people, and you know, I will just show them things. You know, I was just young and show them things how they're done, and I wasn't able to. I mean, as I was working with them, I realized I mean, where am I in all this space? Yeah, is it really my purpose, my goal to work in these communities? Because I was always giving, you know, like I'm really a big giver myself because of what you mentioned, compassion. So working people, giving, and then I realized, wait a minute, what about myself? Because I got to a point where I got a burnout after working like 2 years. And then like I really didn't, I didn't know what was going on through me. And actually, I remember someone said, "You have a burnout." So I took a sabbatical. And sabbatical, that's when
you're working too hard and you have a burnout. So you took sabbatical, and then what happened?
Yeah, I took a sabbatical, and that's when I started realizing leadership is not really about. I mean, of course, it's many. There are many definitions about leadership, about inspiring people, inspiring others to take action. But hey, what about me? How am I inspiring myself? So I turned that definition inward. So I started looking in within myself, and then the concept of self-leadership or leading self became very important to me. So, like, how do I ground myself? How do I inspire myself? How do I harness my thinking, my feeling, my beliefs, to be able to push me forward to the goals that I want to reach?
Wonderful. So, you know, through your inspiring story, you got into the space and really looking at yourself and looking into your own self-leadership in order for you to be able to then coach, teach, and support others to tap into the self-leadership. And it's lovely that you're so authentic, because most of the time when we go through our own life challenges and we begin figuring out what is really challenging us, then we begin learning about ourselves and about life and so on and so forth. So what did you learn about self-leadership, in yourself? And what do you feel are the most important steps for people to take in order for them to start leading themselves in a better way?
Right. Very. That's
Yeah,
a
big questions,
really interesting question. Yeah, big questions. Yeah, I'm going to attempt to answer them.
Yeah, that's okay. We
So,
just chat. Come out.
yeah, that's okay. So fast. I mean, yeah, it's a really for me the fasting was really about self-discovery. So just knowing about myself, and taking time to be able to understand who I was, how I showed up in the world, why was I showing up this way. And even most interesting was even about emotions, because in our local, I mean, in Africa, so we have in our emotions really like when you have bad emotions, you should not have those emotions. When I'm angry, you should not be angry. So I'm like, but why do I have these emotions? Yeah. Why am I behaving this way? And the focus was always on the good emotions. You need to be happy all the time, to be smiling. This helped me a lot to be smiling. I'm really a smiling person of my life,
Positive.
Yeah, positive. Yeah. So, but also, so that's how I came across when I started discovering myself. Then I started self-discovery. That's when okay, there's emotional intelligence. How do you then connect all these emotions? They're important. Yeah. When you have a good emotion, I mean, there's a reason to it. When you have a bad emotion, there's some communication that is, or a message that is being passed to you. So I spent quite a bit on discovering myself. So going through that journey, it's really a process. And I can see up to now, I'm still discovering myself. And when I talk to people about discovering self, they're like, but how? What do you mean?
Exactly.
You mean I don't know myself?
Yeah. I wanted to ask you that, especially for the new listeners who are not in the personal development industry. Discovering self. People will really tell you, what do you mean? So, what do you mean? What do you say when people ask you that?
Yeah. So in terms of looking at yourself, yeah. So let me put in an illustration. So looking at yourself as a business, yeah, or an institution or organization. So it's better to understand an organization when it's out of you. Like if I talk about company X, you can talk about its values, its inspiration, its vision, and everything else. But so looking at self as that institution, as that organization, which is intangible, and knowing yourself beyond just the name, like I'm Bikundo and I'm a coach, and those things you mentioned. Who am I really? So it starts with a question really of who am I? Yeah, what do I like? I mean, the simplest thing that we do is what do I like, what do I like doing? What am I passionate about? But also going deeper into your beliefs, how do my beliefs show up in my life? Why do I get angry when I really worked from 9 to 5? And I feel like if I come across someone, I'm really like, even how I respond to them. Yeah, because of that, because of being tired, there's a way I respond. So how do I just becoming aware about that? So noticing those kind of things. And also the other thing that really helped me was people telling you, people tell you something. You really, really are good at what you're doing. But sometimes if you're a bit patient, you'll be able to do what you're doing very perfectly. And a good example is my mother. When I was growing up, I never wanted to be now I had to go back to my history, growing up.
Yes.
And I'm a firstborn, so we have 5 siblings, and I used to help my siblings with homework, just helping with the schoolwork. And because I'm a firstborn, so I have to take responsibility.
Yes.
And I remember my mom was observing me, and she used to tell me, if you just patient a bit, you can be a good teacher. You just patient with your students.
If you're just patient.
Just patient. So all those things. So I was impatient. So when you realize that people give feedback and what you know about yourself, now that contributes to what is called self-discovery. You create sort of a pot with all these ingredients together. What you know about yourself, what others tell you, and also knowing about your beliefs and values and how they affect you. And then connecting to what I would say, it's a famous saying that says, if you're stuck, for instance, and you still do the same, use the same approach, and you don't get results, you just need to change your thinking.
That's
So
it.
the same way you need to, so knowing yourself enables you to accept yourself and then be able now to build purposefully or intentionally where you want to go.
And what you're sharing, Bikundo, is super important because, you know, if you invest time and energy in getting to know you, and you have highlighted so many important points here, understanding your beliefs, understanding your values, understanding what makes you passionate, understanding what makes you happy, what makes you angry, getting in relationship with your emotional intelligence as well, mastering that part of you, really spend time to get to know you and discover you beyond your name and beyond your title and beyond what you have been given to by the birth, basically. But who are you really? That's one of the entries into the self-leadership, right? Because you need to know you to be able to lead you. Otherwise, it would be absolutely impossible. So it's instrumental and crucial for all of us to invest that time and energy. And sometimes that happens naturally, you know, sometimes we're forced to do it because life brings us crisis or life brings us something that, wow, you know, if I don't get to know myself right now, I am in trouble, right? and sometimes people do it just because of the interest and curious about it. So one of the most important things that you and I really want to land into the audience is to create space and time to get to know you, correct?
Correct, yeah. And there's something else you've really, something you've mentioned about curiosity. Yeah, just because this all starts with just being curious, you know, because looking at life from a broader perspective. Yeah, what is there more to life, you know? And you see, I mean, we are shaped by many circumstances, our environment, our jobs, our families, you know, businesses. But now we ask, what is the bigger purpose for me? So you become curious. And when you become curious, then that's when you delve into self-leadership. And also, this is a journey. It's really, it's a journey that is it's very interesting, like a roller coaster. So it has its own ups and downs, but it's really rewarding. So it reaches a point whereby, I mean, you can be curious because of things, how they work in your life. And also, how do you shape that, I mean, to understand yourself and also be patient. Just be kind and gentle to yourself, because it's like if you plant a bamboo tree, you know, it takes long to grow. So it's the same as self-discovery, you know. So it's not something that you're going to harvest today. So even if you take an example of planting something which will grow in months, there's still that germination or there's that evolution that happens. So self-discovery it's not really a destination, but rather a journey of evolution.
Yeah.
And I love what you're
sharing as well. It's a journey. Yeah, exactly. The patience and compassion and being able to be gentle to yourself, because it doesn't happen, you know, over the night. It's a process, right?
Right.
And sometimes we have this patience that your mother told you when you were coaching your sibling. You know, if you're patient, you're going to be a good teacher.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we want things instantaneously. And I think in this age of time, when we have a digitalization of everything, and we're so hooked onto social medias, we want things to go fast. So it's good reminder that, you know, getting to know you takes time, takes a little bit of energy. Yeah,
that's interesting. So then something else is sort of, and I've mentioned it a bit, that it's also a self-acceptance. Yeah. So once you discover yourself, then you have to accept yourself for who you are, not really to self-sabotage or self-criticism, but rather looking at your own strengths and abilities and maximizing them. You know, usually we say, look at your weaknesses. You know, it's very easy and usually even for my clients, I have an easy exercise. I say, I want to know what you're really good at. And so I'm going to give you 2 pieces of paper. So one piece of paper, write all the things that you're not good at. And the paper will be full in very few minutes. And then, okay, fine, the next paper, what are you really good at? Yeah. And then it takes time, you know? So what I mean with self-acceptance is just basically focusing on what your strengths are. So starting by your own assessment, starting by the people around you, and building from there. And a good model that we've used for many years is the Johari's window, you know? Yes, getting to know, I mean, there are things that you know about yourself, there are things that others know about you, and there are things that you don't know. others know about you, or rather, I mean, you don't know, others don't know about you. So once you use that kind of perspective, it really helps you to broaden your space and know more things about yourself. It might not be skill-wise, it might be just knowing who you are. And it's really, for me, a rewarding journey to be able to get there. So once you accept, so you maximize, you maximize your strengths. You focus on your own value, what you're good at, and you start also observing how you do things. And then it starts building, like what I mentioned, an evolution. So step by step, like that.
For me, what you're sharing right now is crucially important. So you're shifting from the space of, getting to know you into your self-acceptance. And, I know I've struggled with that. I know when you mention you're making the list of the good things and the bad things, sometimes it's easier for mine to be negative and say, oh my God, I suck in all of this. And when they ask me, what do you do? The only few things I'm good at. Because, we all, have this negative, critic going inside of our mind, who is a little gremlin, who is saying that you can do better. But it's super refreshing when we begin focusing our energy onto what we are good at, onto our strength. And this is exactly what coaching as a discipline wants people to do, right? To get into really give the energy what you're good at instead of giving the energy what you're not good at any longer. Yeah.
Precisely. And what I mentioned was just take time, just take time to find that. And also, even a very good exercise that I like doing for myself for limiting beliefs, when you have, you notice your beliefs, you accept your beliefs. So even how you think about even work, oh my goodness, I'm going to be late. So something as so that's a self-limiting belief in your mind, and now you have to be aware of how you have to listen to yourself when you talk about self-leadership, and then why am I? I'm just setting up myself for failure. What kind of how do I shift this? So being aware to be able to catch those self-limiting beliefs. You'll catch stars or something, just literally speaking, and say, hey, I need to replace this with something that is more empowering to me. Because when I talk about I'm going to be late, it really disempowers me. It makes me panic, makes me get poor in preparation, and might even, if I was doing a presentation, as much as it may be a good presentation, it not come out that way. So being able to catch yourself making those kind of self-limiting beliefs as an example.
One of my teacher, very early on when I was younger, at 24, told me at that time, the only, thing that it can limit you in life, it's the limiting belief. And I really never understood that before I started coaching. I was like, what is he meaning? Like he sit with this profound, wise man, and he's saying the only thing can limit you is your limiting belief. And I was like, I didn't even understand what belief is. But later on, when we begin, working with coaching myself, I understood exactly what you're saying, that being able to know your own limiting beliefs and your own default program, what do you carry inside of you from your family, from your conditioning, from your society, from self-imposed limiting beliefs, right? And then knowing how to transform this into something positive is crucial step in knowing you and transforming, evolving you, as you said, right?
Right. So once you do that, so that's the kind of now what just to accept yourself. I've known myself, and then I'm accepting myself the way I am. But that not based on my self-support, but really on what I have. Even if I have a few strengths, how do I now build on, to be able to expand my window, expand my abilities. Because we got this most of even the strength that we got is through our conditioning, through our upbringing. So it means that there's still the ability to be able to gain more strength, learn a new skill, become adaptable, become agile. So this is something that we can be able to expand to that kind of space.
So we have knowing you, accepting you fully, which are two steps toward the path of self-leadership. What else do you think is the next step?
The other aspect, the other aspect is self-management, so managing yourself. So managing other people, very easy, because what do you want me to do? Just supervise, manage people, resources. But what about me? So, and this comes basically from self-discipline. How you discipline yourself, your habits. Observing your habits, how they help you or how they challenge you. So once you know how to when you know how to manage what you have, so you have these good values, you have this good strengths. So, but how do I manage them? How do I become disciplined? And a good example I'll give is, something like time management, which is a very crucial self-management skill. Yeah, how do I keep time? Yeah, this is really like a big fight always even here. So how do we start on time, really? Because if you don't, and you'll notice if you don't start on time, you'll spend more time. You'll spend more time to cover what you needed to cover within the short time that you had. So, and you find that it's a resource that is non-renewable. You cannot save it, you cannot keep it, you cannot store it. Yeah. So, but time is a very crucial resource in our lives. Sometimes there are people which have been, can I save this? Can I store this time? Can I save it to use another time? No, it's not renewable. So you have to use it at that moment. And so when I show up early as a leader, even for myself, it really gives me confidence. And I become positive, and then I emit positive energy even to the people around me. And then, because I love showing up on time, even if people don't show up on time, and they start learning. Okay, well, they become curious. Why do you always? You are the first one to arrive. What makes that possible?
How do you do that?
So one of the things I love is just basically for me, as I mentioned, as a leader, as a coach, is preparing and planning yourself.
Yeah.
So, and one of the simplest things I normally even do is just scheduling my time. Even if I'm going to have coffee with Zora, I need to intentionally. It's an informal coffee, so I need to intentionally schedule that.
Yeah.
And be able to be there in advance. So I mean, because there might be a couple of things that might happen along the way. Maybe I might be stuck in traffic. Things might happen. So just being and then I'm arriving on time. I'm relaxed, I'm not really in a panic mode. So for me, that has really helped me, like scheduling and simple. I mean, with our phones, I mean, there's a calendar. So I usually, when I'm doing my own trainings, I ask people to open their calendar app. Show me your calendar app, and it's empty. So why is it empty? That's a very good tool for you to use to be able to schedule a time. So I'm a flexible person too. Self-management is also about flexibility. But you need to, like what I mentioned, be intentional in what you want to do. Once you're intentional, you are going to get the results that you want. So you're not really like flowing. I mean, you guys can flow, but I also want to be able to create, because as human beings, we are creators. You go create with others. So you cannot wait for things to happen. You have to create the magic. Or you have to go create with others the magic that you want.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you're mentioning intention, because that's an instrument of when you become intentional in managing yourself, you direct the energy, right? So you are in a space of co-creation and direction instead of just, waiting for things to happen to you. So intention is a really beautiful tool to do that. And, and I'm thinking about myself, because with time management, managing myself, sometimes I'm very good. I'm really kind of on time, in time, every time, and sometimes not. And I was just reflecting as you were talking about, that's exactly what it is. It's when I am not doing that, then I'm not intentional enough to give it attention that is requiring for me to manage me to able to show up in a way that, I would love to show up, which is me being on time. So interesting, right? Interesting. And managing self is not that easy because, for me, I come up with excuses all the time.
I mean, not you. I mean, everyone, even myself, I find myself. But again, like also, it can be, remember when you spoke about self-acceptance and self-limiting beliefs. It's why am I really showing up this way? It's how am I going to override this excuse? Because it's really, like I mentioned, it's disempowering when we listen so much to our limiting belief. So, but rather in terms of how do I turn that around? How do I create a new habit that enables me to show up in time and in time?
You know what I really want to ask you, which is a tough question now. You're ready for a tough question. I can help you answer this. I'm not going to let you in. And for what I've learned about myself and other people in coaching people, in organizations, in life, as you, that when it comes to managing self, the most challenging thing is managing one's emotion. I think that, managing your mind it's easier, managing your thinking processes and, working with the beliefs and values and so on and so forth. But when it comes to the emotions, like the passion, the charge that comes inside, sometimes the anger, sometimes even the excitement, sometimes like this charge in, it is, challenging, isn't it?
Yeah, very. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very,
So
very.
because I think we humans, we are emotional animals as well. We're social, of course, but we have this like, this raw emotions inside of ourselves. So what can you say on that in your own life, when you work with other people, and how do you support them lead self and manage self, and manage their emotion?
All right. Yeah, indeed, it's a really a tough question, especially when you talk about emotions.
Yeah.
So just a bit good to go back a bit. So just in self-leadership is just basically you're intentionally influencing how you think, how you feel, and how you act. So we've covered things about the mental, the mind. So now you're talking about feelings and emotions. So how do I influence these feelings?
Mm-hmm.
So that's for me a first step. Yeah. So, and like I mentioned, we have all these kind of emotions in our lives. Why do we have these emotions? We should just we should be only having good emotions, positive emotions, right?
Mm.
And then life will be just free flowing, yeah, if we have good emotions. So, what I usually do is just to accept your emotions, first accept how you're feeling, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, even if it's a positive emotion or it's a negative emotion. So, and I remember one great teacher who taught who break down emotion or intelligence for me in a very simple way. Say that I remember you just have like a good friend. A good friend, you want to meet them all the time. Like I want to hang out with this good friend all the time. That's a good emotion. Just want to hang on to the good emotion. You're peaceful, you're blissful. That's a good emotion. But what about a wise person? Yeah, when you want to go and meet a wise person, you don't go all the time. You have to prepare yourself. What am I going to ask?
Exactly. What I'm going to ask, what I'm going to say.
What am I going to say? And this wise person is going to challenge me.
Yeah.
So you don't like going to a wise person all the time. So that's sort of a wise person is the angry emotion or the negative emotions.
Mm-hmm.
They teach us something. So being aware. So when you look at that in kind of the illustration, all these emotions are all good, but in terms of what are they? What is the underlying message they are sending to us? Yeah. So what even meant when I'm angry? So I ask my clients to go deeper to their anger. Just to accept it and go down. What is the need? What is the need under your anger? And yes, just needed because how my colleague communicated to me, or how they responded to me, how long they took to respond to my email. Yeah, it was an urgent email. So you get a kind of so that's the underlying need. So it was a communication need in that sense. Yeah. So once you go down to the needs, and it becomes there's a message always, and it doesn't mean that we'll be always because we're working with different social beings and emotional beings, and then they have their own kind of. The environment is affecting them in a different way. Some is similar to us, but we just need to sort of co-create and coexist together. So I need to ask, so I have to ask what's going on. What's your need right now? Tell me how you're feeling. Yeah. What really, really do you need right now? And then, wow, okay. It just creates a shift. And for me, that has really helped me personally when I accept my negative emotions and positive emotions, and then go to the need itself. Yeah. And spend some time. So I can just spend out.
Yes. Driving. Yeah, exactly. What is underneath? What is really driving that reaction? What's happening there? And then when you find that need, that is asking for attention, right? Then you address it and you embrace it. And you fulfill it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it can be a very simple thing. So sometimes, we don't have all the time. Like even if I'm working in a very, very agile organization, yeah. So I don't have it's really. I'm even stepping out for a while might seem to be a bit. I don't have time to step out. But sometimes you can step out. You can just stroll to. You can go to the washroom. You can just wash your face or just grab some coffee. That step only can help you think through about what is your underlying need, yeah, and be able to accept. What is this really teaching me? So you don't need you don't need a retreat. You can't have a retreat all the time. Having
in your life
emotion, but you can just walk. You can take a walk. Just take a walk. You can just meditate in 2 minutes.
The walking meditation. I love this question. This is one of my favorite questions that you mentioned while you were sharing. Is what is this teaching me? What is this for? What am I learning as a result of all of this? And that reflective question can really prompt you to discover this underlying emotion very, very quickly, and then alchemize it and transform it, and to be yourself once again, right?
Right, yeah. So it's a sort of like, what do you call, I mean, it's sort of, like, what I'll say, something like circular. So you go through these emotions and they just go around. Yeah, but just observing. So when you talk about self-leadership, it's observing what's going through you and how that is influencing you at that moment. So, and once I'm aware, how do I influence this feeling? That creates, when I influence the feeling, what kind of action can I take? Yeah, maybe just need to tell Zoran, actually, you just need to, you just send me that email next time on time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So exactly. You act on it. You're not only processing it and thinking about it or feeling it. I think that important piece that you're bringing here is that then you follow through with the action, and then you kind of move the energy into the next level of expression. Wow.
Precisely. So that you're not an escapist. Yeah. And like I said, we don't have all the time. So, and if you're working in a busy environment, you don't have a lot of time to process. So you have to do things on the go. So, but also you're allowed, as much as it's a busy environment, just can I step out from this for a minute, and you can step out by just strolling for a minute, or just taking a cup of coffee, or just water, and then that helps you to come back. Then what action am I going to take
right now? So that breath, it's very important. Like, having that mini break with you when you said taking coffee, taking, water, walking around to calm down and to kind of respond versus react. Wonderful. So we kind of uncovered a lot of things when it comes to the self-leadership. We talked about self-acceptance, knowing yourself, managing your emotions as well. We have a few more minutes going on. So anything else that you would like to add into empowering people to the journey of self-leadership?
Yeah, the last one actually. So I have is self-growth. So what Steve Covey called rejuvenation as the last. If I remember his 7 habits, and I love the 7 habits, self-growth or rejuvenation. So how do you sharpen this? So how do you continuously improve yourself? What opportunities exist to improve yourself? You might be in at a place in your life, where things are going so well, but that still calls for new learning, new places to conquer, about yourself. So how do I rejuvenate myself? Yeah. So like even personal, what I do, I love doing a couple of things. So one, like I do one course per year. It doesn't need to even to be accredited or that kind of thing. Just one course. Can be an online course, can be a physical course if it's possible now with COVID. So finding things that really sharpen you. Can be reading a nice book that you had, and not necessarily in your field. Yeah, like for me. So if I'm in the coach field, I don't necessarily need to read a book about coach. You can read something very different. I was actually reading something about evolution of mankind.
Nice.
Around things about trade, business. Something totally different. Then that really expands your horizon. So you are continuously sharpening yourself. You can do, different things, like exercise, visit new places, which are very low cost. You don't need to, because the excuse can be, it's about budget. You don't have that kind of budget. It can be very simple thing that nature, you've been working a whole week or a whole month, and just go to any place that is near you, which has good nature, and sit down and relax.
Rejuvenate.
So these kind of things, rejuvenate yourself. So continuously, this is something. So not only doing a course, but other things, like meeting new people, building new relationships, coming up with new projects, ideas, innovation. That's how we rejuvenate yourself. So, and you're able to know up to what, you're able to stretch your mind to what it already knows, to new things, new heights. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that reminder of rejuvenation and giving you the new energy to evolve and to continuously grow, because that is an instrumental part of self-leadership as well. Not to forget to get out of your habits. And I also love what you said about doing something which is completely outside of your area of interest. Like if you are coaching, reading the book about art, or reading the book about evolution, something that really stimulates your mind, and spending time in nature is super important. That self-rejuvenation, to give yourself, to nourish yourself, and to grow yourself, right? Consistently.
Precisely, yeah. And then this all, so just tying this all together, what I would say is there's a statement I love using all the time. It's so once we do things, even as leaders, once we do things the way they are supposed to, we're sort of in survival mode. Yeah. So when we go deeper into self-leadership, then we actually moving from survival to significance. So not merely surviving, but how do I create a significance to myself, to others? And now you can move to others. How do I build that impact on other people? How do I help create that significance, sort of achieving it for yourself and other people around you? So not merely surviving. Like surviving can be sort of, you're already caught up all the time if you're not in the rat race. This is a survival mode, but what do I need to do to build a life of significance? And for me, that sums up very well for myself. Aspect of
absolutely, absolutely, and especially nowadays, throughout this COVID craziness and madness that we're facing right now, how can we move ourselves from that space of survival to significant and keep being there as much as we can? Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so we have a few more minutes left. So where would you love to leave our audience with? Would you love to give any kind of recommendation, practice, exercise, or pearl of wisdom? How would you love to kind of wrap it up for the listeners from your end?
Yeah, all right. So sort of, there's something I like using a practice. It's called, hosting yourself. How do I host myself? Or some other people say, how do I ground myself? Yeah, so around this. And we mentioned some of the tips in previously. So we talked about also meditation. You don't need to you just take a bit of time and be able to just close your eyes for a few minutes and just be present. Be present. Observe how you're feeling. Yeah, it doesn't need to be like you need to do just a small practice every day of meditation. And there are very many resources online that if anyone wants to be able to access that. And the other thing is, preparation, just for planning. Even if you're going to meet, even for yourself, even if when you're going to meet other people, you need to be ready. Am I ready to meet? So not just showing up, but also being ready. So when I say ready, means that you are ready emotionally, physically, your feet, not only nicely dressed, but also just mentally, I'm ready to give and receive from other people. Then the other thing is, make it a habit to catch a breath, a deep breath in between your work. To observe your breathing, because we sometimes take for granted the power that we have of breath, of just breathing, just be observant, of your breath. Take a moment if you need to take a deep breath and just rejuvenate yourself, rejuvenate your organs. And then the other thing will be, of course, set a goal, or an intention. Even for a simple thing, like I just say, this is intention. I'll be there on time, or I'm going to have a very resourceful meeting with my team. So have this intention, because then it drives the energy towards.
What was the last one? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, the network a bit here. So sometimes also silence. To take a moment of silence, and just because also we are in a very busy world. Even to take a moment of silence for yourself, or even spend time with yourself. It seems sometimes it's like I'm taking away from other people, but for yourself, it is really a powerful practice that can be able to help you rejuvenate and connect with yourself more deeply.
Bikundo, thank you so much for this wonderful sharing on the path of the self-mastery, self-leadership. We covered a lot of beautiful grounds. I know that I've learned a lot in our dialogue and conversation, shared a lot as well. And I know that our audience is going to be very happy and very grateful while listening to this wonderful podcast that will inspire them, empower them to be, as you said, the best possible versions of themselves. So thank you so much for being here with us today. And I hope we're going to record more in the future. And for the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this podcast and to this channel. We hope this was beneficial and inspiring for you. And until next time, lots of love to everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.